So let's talk plainly, because there are way too many people who don't know the difference between prejudice and racism. And if you can't see that problem, then you can't see the difference or your place in it. So here's the truth. Prejudice is personal. It's what any one of us can carry. It's bias, distrust, fear, dislike. Anyone can have it. Black people can be prejudiced against white people. Latino people can be prejudiced against Asian people. It's universal, but it lives in us as individuals. Now, racism is different. Racism is power. When those personal biases get written into laws, policies, institutions. It's when prejudice becomes the rule, not just a feeling. When bias determines who gets hired, who gets sentenced longer, who gets approved for the home loan, who's safe in their own neighborhood, who lives, who dies. In America, racism isn't just someone hurling slurs. It's zoning laws that force Black families into redline neighborhoods. It's banks denying mortgages based on the color of your skin. It's schools funded by property taxes in segregated districts. It's policing that treats some communities as war zones. It's health disparities that mean Black mothers are more likely to die giving birth. That's not about individual hate. That's about systems built to work for one group against others. It's structural, see? And here's where the conversation gets really hard. Because when you say racism, many white people think, oh, you're saying I'm a bad person. They hear blame, they hear accusations. They go straight into defense mode. I'm not racist. I never owned slaves. I have a Black friend. My family was poor too. It becomes about their feelings, right? About their need to be seen as good. About being the victim in the conversation. But here's the reality. Nobody's asking you to carry the full guilt of your ancestors. What people want is for you to see the legacy of those choices. Because those systems didn't just disappear. They evolved, they adapted, they're still here. And many benefit without ever asking why. So when you make the conversation about your discomfort, you're avoiding the truth. It's easier to say, stop calling me racist, than to ask how racism is still working in my favor. It's easier to focus on your hurt feelings than somebody else's lived reality. That's the privilege. Being able to walk away when the talk gets hard. Because the people most hurt by racism, we don't get to walk away. Yes, Black people can have prejudice. Any group can. But Black prejudice doesn't decide who gets the job. It doesn't decide who gets approved for the loan. It doesn't write the policies. It doesn't call the shots in a courtroom. That's the difference. And this matters because naming it is the first step in changing it. If you think racism is just hate in someone's heart, you're completely missing the point. Racism is how a society chooses to organize advantage and disadvantage. Who it protects, who it punishes, who it uplifts, and who it leaves behind. So if you feel defensive when you hear about racism, pause and ask why. Ask who benefits if you stay defensive. Ask who gains if you make the conversation about you versus the system. Because racism isn't just an insult. It's not a personal failure either. It's a structure, one that was built, one that can be unbuilt, but only if we're willing to be honest about what it is and who it serves.